What's going on, Edinburgh, Texas? Welcome to episode 53, season 4 of Talking Throws podcast. I'm Coach Jason.
And I'm Coach Janelle.
And we are Throws Coach with the Throwing Factory. Welcome to everybody. Remind everybody that you can go get some really cool apparel like our podcast t-shirts on thethrowingfactory.com. Also, I've got a couple of new hammer shirts out. And we got a little saying shirt, Spinning is Cheating, from Randy Matson. That was from a previous season, on sale right now. So go to thethrowingfactory.com to the shopping tab and be able to check that out. And also remind everybody, too, about West at the Throwing Factory, led by Coach Kai. He's looking to do lessons and gather people for his team. And then Coach Jarvis at East at the Throwing Factory the same way. You can contact them or find their contact information on the throwingfactory.com website. So we want to thank our sponsors for season 4. Without them, we can't do what we do. So we want to thank Stuart Cantor and the Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Go to ttfc.org for the latest in Texas track and field news. I know indoor and outdoor meets are coming up for 2022. They're posted on the site already, so go check it out. And then also, too, remind everybody that the class of 2022 for Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame just had its media release. So a couple people going there. There's a friend of ours is Jim Carlisle, Terry Hairston, Todd Haybar, Pat Henry, Victor Lopez, and then Gene and Joe Pouncey are the 2022 inductees. So excited to hear more information about that Hall of Fame class coming out. You can go get to ttfc.org to check them out. 4throws.com, quality implements price right. Go to 4throws.com. Use Talking Throws 20 to get 20% off. Right now on their site, you can get a training steel hammer for $82. They have training javelins up, and then also too, we talked about this previously, you can get cones and slam balls and nets and tape measures and anything you need off 4throws.com. Just use the code TalkingThrows20 to get 20% off. Also, Porta-Circle, making throwing more accessible, whether it's in the gym, underneath the stadium, or at a hotel. Use Talking Throws 10 to get 10% off. And then our favorite athletic development, Ready Up Athletic Development, led by Zach Phillips at 512-507-8347. You can follow Zach at Ready Up on Instagram and Facebook, or you can go to his website at readyupad.com. If you're in the Austin area and need a semi-private or private strength conditioning lesson, go see Zach at Ready Up Athletic Development. And then finally, Fiber Sports Discus. Welcome to a new way to get the distance. Fiber Sports Discus is taking the guesswork out of discus selection. It's just not about the rim weight anymore. Go to fibersportdiscus.com, or you can contact Bruce Caldwell at 817-819-1472. And I believe we even have one right here of his new win. That's 1.6, so go check that out. If you have any questions, or you can contact Bruce. So we want to thank everybody. Also remind everybody, too, that we have our YouTube channel. So go check that out. Go subscribe and like. Give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. Just search it in the search engine for YouTube channel, please. And we'll get those information to you. On this episode 53, this young lady was a 2021. She made the Olympic trials in Eugene. In 2021, she hit a PR of 58.90 to qualify for the Olympic trials. That 58.90 was also a University of Texas-Rio Grande Valley program record. Also in 2021, she won the WAC Outdoors in the discus. From 2016 to 2019, she attended Missouri Southern State University, a Division II school, where she was a 3-time D2 All-American in the discus, and she was a 1-time D2 All-American in the shot put. She also attended Webb City High School in Missouri as well, where she was All-State in the shot put and discus, both her junior and senior year. Please welcome to episode 53 of Talking Throws Podcast, Texas Style, Miss Desirea Buerge.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We're well. Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Wow, you look great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got a face and hair for TV, I guess.
I know.
Well, I had my hair done for church this morning, so.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. She knew we were on YouTube, so.
Well, and look at this. This just happened to be the shirt I had for.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Cool.
Perfect.
Cool. So
Perfect.
if we look a little funny or uncomfortable, we've actually changed our podcast room. So we've got the wall a little bit different and we're up against the window a little bit different. So it's our first time doing this. So let me say by default, if something goes wrong, it's my wife's fault. It's not mine. So.
I was out of town all weekend and I came home this morning and he had moved everything. So
so passing the blame back.
Exactly. Yes. Right back at you. Right. So if the curtain falls or something.
We're scared of the curtain will fall. Okay. I want to be transparent. It's just laying on top of it. Okay.
Don't bump into it.
I know I'm trying to be skinny, which is hard.
All right, Desiree, thank you for being on. So we kind of start every episode out with this first question. Tell us how and when did you get started throwing?
So I started throwing in 7th grade. I used it as a kind of an outlet to get away from basketball because I'm very big basketball oriented with my family and I played softball as well. But during junior high in the spring, the only thing that could take place of basketball was track. So that was my outlet to get away from that. And I had a really good first coach who actually got me really into the discus. We did a lot of drills and I was kind of selfish and I didn't let anybody touch the metal disc. I was the only one who actually threw the metal disc comparatively to everybody else. I made them all throw the rubber because I did thrive a little bit better than everybody else. And I was like, you're not touching this disc. You're not messing it up.
What was the coach that had such a great impact at such an early age?
That would be Coach Holman.
Coach Holman.
And
Coach
this
Holman.
was where? Because you didn't grow up in Texas, right?
No, I did not. Okay. So this is in Carthage, Missouri.
Okay.
And then from there, I transferred and went to Webb City, Missouri, which is about a 20-ish minute drive. And my next coach would be Coach Hicks. And he threw in college and threw in high school. So he had a background there. And so he coached me to tweak what we had done in junior high and just made it better. And each coach I've had has done that, has made my technique better as I've gone through.
Okay.
And so in high school, I wasn't able to do anything my freshman year. So I didn't throw my freshman year. So I actually had a year off from doing it 2 years in a row from junior high. And then my sophomore year, I came out, had wrist surgery.
Oh, wow.
So I had to take a little time off there, but I still threw and ended up finishing 8th place at my first state meet.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Do you know do you remember in the 7th, 8th grade, kind of some marks that you hit?
So I actually have the school record in the junior high, and I don't think they've been touched. It was 101.7.
Okay.
And 108.1. So that was 7th and then 8th grade.
Oh,
wow,
108.
those are big throws.
Cool. Now, did you do anything with shot put?
In junior high, no.
Okay.
I was trying to, and then my coach is like, you can't do 4 field events. You have to do a running event. So he made me do the running event. So I did the 200.
Oh, wow. So you were kind of a little multi when it came to track and field then as well.
When I started out, yes. Once I got to high school, we tried it out, tried to do long jump, high jump, shot and disc. And it was so difficult in high school because everything was at the same time. I was running back and forth, kind of like with my head chopped off, it really seemed like. So after that first meet of really getting to experience that, I was like, I'm done. I'm only doing throws.
Were you consider yourself pretty good to be a jumper?
Well, I did set the junior high record in the long jump.
Okay. Nice.
So I'm going to go back to that discus throws in 7th and 8th grade. Did you have some technique? Were you just fronting, standing out the front, shuffle, throw? I mean, you said you had a coach, kind of knew what they were talking about.
So in junior high, I actually wore just regular tennis shoes, didn't have any throw shoes at all. But no, he actually taught us how to spin. We would do the full spin. In some practices, he would have us do the step out and do a South African to really get into throws. He really did have us do a lot of technical things. And I think that's honestly why I thrive so well, because I am such a technical person and I work at things for technique, and having that to help me in high school, as when I was watched Webb at practice, you could see the junior highs practicing, and it was nothing compared to what we did at Carthage.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you get into your freshman year, and you said something about you didn't throw your freshman year. Was that because of that wrist injury?
No, I actually didn't throw my freshman year because I had transferred school districts, and Misha, which is our state kind of like head. So they made me sit 365 because 3 letters were sent in to them saying that I had transferred for athletic reasons only.
Oh, seriously?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know Texas did that
That's
stuff.
some pretty heavy stuff.
Other states.
Now, I have an idea too that also tied in with your basketball ability as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's get into, and so you come from a family that's pretty good in basketball, to my understanding, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little about your family's background in basketball and your, I guess, your ability.
Your background in basketball.
Your background in basketball.
So growing up, I actually started out playing basketball when I was really young. I played 4th grade basketball as a first grader. So I played 4th grade basketball for 4 years. I have an older brother. He also played basketball his whole life. He went off to play at a JUCO and then at D2 in Cameron, Oklahoma, Lawton, Oklahoma, and played at Cameron University. And then he transferred and went to S&T, which is Missouri S&T. It's like a science technology school. It's another D2. So he played there. And then I played, and I went to Missouri Southern State University first. And I did both basketball and track there.
Okay.
So I did 2 sports there. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, and then when I transferred to Texas, actually at UTRGV, I played basketball. COVID hit. I got to have my next year be just full track.
Oh, wow. Okay. So was your mom and dad, were they very athletic people?
Yeah. So my mom and dad both played basketball. My dad, he wasn't able to do football, so he did tennis in the off season.
Okay.
And then my mom, she did volleyball, basketball, and track.
Okay.
Awesome.
So
nice.
Multi-sport athletes. That's great.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing y'all are real competitive when it comes to games and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So I actually have 2 younger sisters that are 16 and 14.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so they're at Carl Junction High School.
Okay.
Which is another like 15-minute drive from Webb.
Okay.
Kind of switched some schools up. But they do volleyball and basketball. And my 16-year-old sister is really, really big in basketball. And she hit her 1,000 points by her sophomore year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So very competitive. My dad has her in the gym all the time on the gun shooting. So we don't like being bad at sports, should I say? Like, we like to thrive and be the best that we can be.
Gotcha.
So do you play like family card games that get intense where punches may be thrown, or Monopoly or something like that, where you're
over Christmas we played Monopoly.
Oh, no.
And my little sister hated that I was winning, so she just basically started giving my brother all her money. It's like, I'm ready to be done. Gave him all the money. So he ended up winning. I was like, I would have won. Y'all cheated.
That damn park place gets you every time.
I had all the railroads.
Oh, did
yeah. Oh, yeah. That brings in the money.
That is funny. That is funny. So, all right. So you in high school, getting back to high school a little bit, your sophomore year, you're a multi-sport athlete. How were you able, because I'm guessing basketball, y'all probably went 2 or 3 rounds in the playoffs. That ran into your track season, right?
It did a little bit, but not much. Like I said, my sophomore year, a lot of that ate up my track season. Was I started out pretty good, and then my wrist just kept bothering me because I had actually hurt it in softball, and we taped it up for basketball. So I tore partial cartilage in my TFCC and my left wrist. So I was just able to like shag disc. I wasn't really able to do a lot, maybe a little technique, but I wasn't able to throw for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I had to wait for that recovery time. And then, so that was basically what cut into my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And then my also, was it my sophomore year? Yeah, my sophomore year, we went to state in basketball.
Oh, okay.
So that also did cut in a little bit just because we were at state and got second.
Oh, wow.
In basketball that year.
So you did basketball, track, and softball.
Yes.
Okay. How did you balance track and softball? Because those
softball up here is in the fall.
Oh, well,
really?
Okay.
Yeah. So I played all 3 sports in high school.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
Yeah.
So how did you, and I'm curious, did you do any type of weightlifting? Were you introduced to weightlifting? Because you're going from one sport to the next. How did you train your body?
So at Webb City, to be in the weightlifting class, you have to do summer weights.
Okay.
And so I would do the summer weights, and then we would be lifting all school year because I was in a weights class all year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were able to lift year round then?
Yeah.
Nice.
So a weight class separate from your athletic class?
So we had our PE class was weights.
Oh, okay.
So and we have red and white days. So one week I lift like 3 days a week, and then the next week it would be 2 days.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Were you just someone who is above average, naturally strong?
I think a little bit because, like I said, growing up, my dad was really big and us being as best as we could be. Mm-hmm. And so he would have me and my brother do jump ropes and push-ups every day. So that gave me a little bit more muscle. I'd do 500 jump ropes a day, 100 push-ups a day. And
wow.
Like even like his teams, he would have that set as a thing, have them do that as well. Because he was my coach for basketball. So
okay. Oh wow! So you were top shit. I started to say top shit.
Well, maybe that too, but top shape.
Top shape. For sure. Okay, now at the rotational, were you doing rotational shot put at this time, or was it getting back to track? Were you a glide shot putter?
I was a glide shot putter. My senior year, we played around with it a little bit to do some spinning. By my junior year, I had actually gotten shoes. So I finally had some throw shoes.
Nice.
Finally got some senior year. So that kind of helped out with the glide or the spin and the discus and the spin and the shot when I finally did start doing a little bit of spin. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled at the spin and the shot. It was so different. I would throw it out of bounds, way left.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how my throws went in the discus too. I would throw left sector, middle left all the time.
Really?
In high school.
Gotcha. So what were your couple of PRs that you hit in high school?
So I think my sophomore year, it was 136.6.
Okay.
My junior year, 153.8.
Wow.
That's a big jump. We have to ask how that happened.
Yeah.
In a minute.
And my senior year, 158.11.
158.11 your senior year. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What about shot put?
I think I threw 42 something in the shot for like it being my first year ever throwing the shot put. 44.11 my junior year, and then 45 my senior year.
Wow. Nice. So what was a big jump from 137 your sophomore year to the 153 your junior year? Technically, was it the shoes?
I think it might have been a little bit of the shoes, but I think just my technique had gotten better. We got a little bit of better disc. We had ended up getting a pacer in.
Oh, did you?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so I think that helped a little bit. I just think my technique was tremendously better from my sophomore to junior year. We got a lot more training in that year on working on technical things.
Was Coach Hicks still your coach at this time?
Yes. Coach Hicks was my coach throughout all high school.
Nice. Was there something that at this time in your life that he instilled at you during your sophomore, junior, senior year that you probably kind of still remember as this days as a cue or something that you still use?
I tried to use it a little bit when I had gotten to Southern because he would be like, he would have a little post out there and he's like, kick the soccer ball as you go around.
Yeah.
And so like, keep your leg long, kick the soccer ball coming in. So that was kind of one of the things to keep my leg long on my right leg coming in. But there was a coach at one of the meets. I think it was our conference meet. and he'd watch me, and he kept saying, you keep throwing your left arm. And so he actually had told me, act like there's a watch on your hand and always check the time.
Oh,
to
really?
help keep my hand in.
To keep closed.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So I think that might also have been something that helped me jump up a little bit, just because I would always be like, check my time.
Yeah. Good.
As I came in.
So when did you start getting recruiting? Because if you threw 45 your senior year and 158, those are big D1 numbers. And I'm kind of curious, you wound up going to the route of D2. Number one, why is that? And did you have any other offers from a D1 schools?
So going in, I signed early. I think that was the biggest mistake that I ever made.
Really? Okay.
I signed in the fall period.
All before your senior year in track.
Mm-hmm. I did. I signed
okay.
for basketball and then added track onto that. I went on visits. I went to San Diego State University. There was some issues there. There's just a lot of miscommunications, and if they can't even communicate with themselves about what time I'm going to leave on my departure day, I was there by myself.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As an 18-year-old, I just felt like if you can't even communicate that my departure time had changed, then I don't know if I want to see how your guys' overall schedule goes.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
That's a problem.
Understand that.
Yeah. So they had given me a full ride, but it was just something that just didn't feel right to me. I had Mizzou, but they only offered me like a 75% scholarship. And I was like, I know I'm worth more than that. So I didn't go there.
Okay. Was Weir the throws coach there in Missouri? Rob Weir?
It started with an H.
H, okay.
I think he's their head coach now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I felt like I was just worth a little bit more than that. And I really didn't get a lot of offers, but once going back after getting into college, I looked through my Facebook requests, had so many schools reaching out to me, and I had no idea because it was in my request inbox and I didn't get notifications from my request inbox.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That right there's a life lesson we need to share with kids on their social media stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Check your requests.
For sure. Yeah. Just be on social media more.
Right. Just make sure you just check the request box because you never know who's trying to contact you.
That's right. You know,
and I guess I had K-State looking at me, and at the time I didn't get notified by that from my athletic director till about like the week or so, a couple days before I was signing. He finally handed me the thing and said, oh yeah, KU's wanting you to come on a visit and wants to talk with you. And I was like, I already have my mind made up at this point.
Yeah. So what was it about that you wound up choosing Missouri State or Missouri Southern State?
So what made me choose there was at the time, it just felt like home. I mean, it was only 20 minutes away. The girls just gave me a really great vibe. I knew Coach Allen had a lot of success there at Southern for throwing. So it's just a lot of things compounded. I got to have a 2-day visit because I was home and I didn't have to leave to go on my visits. I was able to go more in the evening, but just the girls just made me feel welcome from the basketball team. And I mean, I went to Pitt State, which is where Coach Lord came from, the basketball coach at UTRGV. I went over to there and it just didn't seem like the right vibe. I mean, they were looking at me for track. They were looking at me for basketball. I mainly talked with the track coaches, and I was heavily recruited from the basketball coach from my sophomore year in high school. And I barely talked with him, which was really funny because when I went down to UTRGV, he ended up being my coach anyway.
Oh, wow.
Okay, interesting.
Things have came full circle for you.
It has.
For sure.
So on that visit, did you, when you said the girls made you feel welcome, was it basketball team and track team? Did you get to hang out with both?
So my cousin actually was on the track team. So I kind of already had like cousin-like figure, I should say. We're not like actual cousins, but I've known him my whole life. He might as well be my cousin. So he was on the track team. So I got to know them. And one of the basketball girls is also a track girl. Okay. So to make that transition with her to throwing, it made it seemed a lot better because I would have somebody moving in there with me that I already knew other than my basically family member.
Gotcha. Is it, I'm curious, do you have, what would you tell the young ladies listening now that have aspirations to do both in college, or juggling in the fact that I like basketball more than track, or vice versa? What advice would you give them? Because, you know, that's hard to blend a high level basketball player to be in a very high level shot and discus thrower, especially when it's rotational shot and discus.
Well, it just depends on how well your coaches work with you. I didn't have a problem with it. My basketball coaches and track coaches really mingled really well. So when we were in basketball season, I still got 2 hours of track training a week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So like we still got to go in and throw shot put and work on the rotation. And then even during the summer, we were out there throwing and doing workouts as well, going back and forth between that. Me and Jensen would go do that together because we were on the same schedule. Gotcha. So, I mean, if you have a friend that does it too, it makes it a little easier, but if you just have to really work at it, you have to put your mind, if you're going to do both, you have to train at both. You can't just let one fall off. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, because I know some people, you know, shooting the basketball, you know, that kind of follow through. Did you struggle with that in the push of the shot put?
I did honestly struggle with that because it is so similar from this to this.
Yeah.
So sometimes it would pull my elbow out when I would shoot. So I'd have to get on the gun and refix my shot a lot. Yeah. The gun was my best friend because it just rapidly throws balls to you and you're just able to shoot. So it didn't really mess my shot put up, but it messed my shot in basketball up a little bit.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Which at this point, when you're a freshman at Missouri Southern, which one do you like more at this time?
At this point in time, I was getting a little annoyed with basketball by the end of the season. That was something that me and the coach had a little miscommunication going through. And I honestly was planning on quitting basketball after my freshman year because it was just so much tension. I couldn't deal with it. She disrespected my father way too many times. She basically called him a Jack A to my face several times. She said he was a negative influence in my life, and I am a big family person. So for somebody just to be out here just throwing my dad on the bus, throwing shade at him all the time. And by the end of my basketball season, I had actually had my wisdom teeth coming in. Mm-hmm. And so they were making me very sick, very nauseous. And so she was getting mad at me because I couldn't be on the floor because it was just making me so sick because of the bacteria that was going into my body that shouldn't have been. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of tension at the end of the season.
Gotcha. Who was the throws coach at Missouri Southern when you went there your freshman and sophomore year?
So Brian Allen was there all 4 years. He's still the coach at Southern. Okay. Amazing guy. He's amazing coach. He did tweak a lot of things for my throws. He did help my rotation out. I had ended up throwing by the end of my 4 years at Southern because I had taken that last year, my junior outdoor season off to match up my indoor outdoor seasons to give me that 5th year. Okay. I had taken it off because I had quit basketball at that point.
Well, you were a 3-time All-American in the discus.
I was. So I started out with my freshman year. I got 8th.
Okay.
And then I came back again and I was sitting 5th going into finals my sophomore year. Got 8th again. It was a little heartbreaking. So then I took my junior season off. Okay. So that took a year out of there. And then I came in for my redshirt junior season. Gotcha. And I got 4th.
And what was your best throw at Missouri Southern PR wise in discus?
54 meters.
Which is,
I have the school record for there.
Gotcha. 54.
Yeah.
Nice.
Meters. And then in the shot put, had a really big jump.
Oh, all right.
Because I went rotational and it was a struggle. I had hit 15 meters at the end of my redshirt year that I wasn't throwing. Yeah. And so that was my sophomore year. I had hit 15, but didn't make it into nationals with that 15-meter throw, which was so crazy.
Wow.
At the end of my sophomore year. Then I had my junior season to really progress when I was redshirting. and then end up hitting a 16:38 at nationals. And that's when I got runner up in the shot put.
Wow. Nice. Oh, I have to ask, did you ever pick up the hammer?
No, because I did both sports. He wouldn't let me pick up the hammer because I didn't have time to train for it. But I have so many people who said I would be a good hammer thrower. I have so many people like,
it's not too late.
Not too late. We missed this. What position did you play in basketball?
I was the center. I was a power forward, 4 or 5, but mostly the 5. But I could step out, shoot the 3. Had a little bit of ball handling skills.
Okay.
And
you're about 6 feet.
I am 6 foot. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because junior high, I would be the point guard.
Oh, really?
That's how much progression we went. I went from point guard to being like a forward in high school. And then my senior year came around and I had to help dribble the ball up the court again. I was like, okay, let me get my ball handling skills back up to date because y'all didn't let me dribble the ball for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then went back to being the 5 in high school or in college. So,
nice.
But still got to dribble the ball a little bit when they let me be the 4. So
Gotcha. So did you graduate from Missouri Southern and look to transfer as a grad assistant? Is that what you were looking? And what was the road that led you to coming to see Coach Foote and to the Valley of Texas?
A lot of that came from Coach Lord, the basketball coach down there.
Okay.
So I had actually, because, I had a 5th year to compete at Southern for that 5th year, but credits wise, I could graduate. I had enough credits in school that I could graduate at the end of that 4th year. So that's what I ended up doing. There was just too much going on, too much, I want to say, just a little negativity that was making me not love throwing anymore. And so I had to remove myself from that type of situation. Love my team. They were so supportive when I was there at Missouri Southern, but it was just time for me to move on. I went on to get my master's at UTRGV, and I did that in an accelerated program in a year. So that was why I was doing basketball. COVID hit, but I was taken down there by Coach Lord.
What do you have your master's in?
Health science and nutrition.
Okay.
Wow.
Awesome.
So were you familiar with the school, the location? Have you ever been to South Texas before?
Her face says no.
Never.
So Nationals was in Kingsville my last year at Southern.
Okay.
And so I got to go view the campus afterwards. I mean, it was kind of a ghost town. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
Everybody was home for the summer. But I was able to view campus, see the track, see the basketball court that was just redone. So the plan was for you to come down to graduate school and to play basketball and then also do track as the backup. Okay, in that order? Yeah, so I was going to do both sports. I was training for both. Basketball came in. The coaches are kind of like, you need to stop training for track. So I had actually taken quite a bit of time off from track because basketball is like, you're just overdoing it. You're pushing your body too much because D1 is a little different than D2. Yeah. And just the training and lifting is just so different. So they're like, you're going to have to stop throwing for a little bit. And then, yeah. So it really would have hurt my track season. So I'm really kind of thankful for COVID in a way. Yeah. Because I was able to lift and train and get my body right for that season that I got to make up.
Oh, wow. Really? So when they were telling you this, were you open to this? Because you haven't had that scenario where you haven't done basketball and you haven't thrown at all during your academic career. Were you open?
I honestly hated it. I hated not being able to go out there and throw because sometimes it's my relief away from basketball. It's my getaway to be able to just clear my mind. I use the weight room as my other stress reliever. I love the weight room. I love lifting. So that was my other, I hit that really hard. I really only had one person who could lift with me anyway, because she actually was heavy in the weight room as well. Okay. So that was my trying to stay strong while in season type of deal. But I did lose a lot of muscle during basketball season.
and I'm guessing it was your mom and dad. I'm guessing your dad was full supportive of you going down to RGV and all that, or was he like a little hesitant?
No, my dad was ready for me to get out of there.
Gotcha.
He was ready for me to get out of Missouri Southern. He was like, go do it, go play basketball. It was a really big opportunity because, you know, D1 has money. So they're able to give a stipend check out to help you pay for stuff. Whereas when I had quit basketball at Southern, I ended up living back at home, which was kind of hard on me because I was so used to being out of the house. I lived on campus for 3 years, and then moving back home was a little bit of a little change, and always had to ask to do things. And it was just a little rough on me in that aspect as well. So moving down to Texas got me away from home for a little bit. And yes, I miss home, but I'm not really a homebody. I'm not one that gets homesick often. So moving down there, it was like a nice little change for me, getting to live somewhere else, live in a different state, have a little bit of different culture.
Yeah. South Texas is probably way different than, though I'm not familiar with where you're at in Missouri, but I would still assume that deep South Texas is way different.
Well, it's a little hotter, but the Carthage, where I grew up, it's a really big Hispanic culture. So it's like a 75% Hispanic culture in Carthage, Missouri.
So there you go.
So are you fluent? Do you speak Spanish or second?
No.
No. Okay.
I think I know more sign language than I do Spanish, which is actually sad. Would you think I would know a little bit more?
I'm sure you seem pretty smart, so I'm sure you can pick it up pretty quick. So you take that year off, and you're thankful for COVID. Have you met Coach Foote, the throws coach, and kind of what was your first impression to him, and were you excited to work with him?
So I had heard some good things about Coach Foote. Some of his athletes actually came to Southern, so I got to hear a little bit about him in that aspect because he was at Iowa Central first. And so some of his Iowa Central athletes were actually at Southern when that last year I was there. I had met him when I went on my little visit. He was the one talking to us and telling us about all the throws program and where he's trying to take the program and put it in the right direction. He was telling me about the girls that they have there. That's when Samaria, that was her first year there. And I saw her numbers. So that made me really excited to have somebody to really like compete against and practice and push to be better, because I work better in an aspect of where I have somebody to push and compete against during practice and always trying to push numbers. It's that competitive part of me making practice like a meet. But that was the first time I had ever met Coach Foote, was when I went on my visit. Coach Flowers, on the other hand, he was a D2 coach. And so he had actually seen me compete at nationals my freshman and sophomore year. So he knew kind of what I was about, how I had competed before coming in. Gotcha.
So you, during that COVID year, now normally we'd ask, well, how did COVID affect you? And you said earlier that you just basically used that time to get your body right and lift and get prepared and all that type of stuff to come into this season. So did you play basketball? Did you just play basketball during the winter?
That first year my first year at UTRGV, yes. All I did was basketball. I lifted and all of that stuff with the basketball team. I mean, I did my master's program, so that was a little bit of stuff during the summer that would only take my time away from being able to lift. So I really didn't get an implement until later in the summer because I wasn't really able to go out because of my master's stuff that I was working on, but I was able to go lift because we have a home gym.
The Texas Track and Field Coaches Association. Coaches education through our annual winter clinic, the state's #1 track and field clinic. Texas Track and Field promotion, our postseason Meet of Champions, lobbying efforts with the state's governing bodies, the Texas Track and Field Hall of Fame. If it involves Texas Track and Field, we're at the forefront. Join our mission in continuing to make Texas Track and Field the nation's best.
Okay, so let's get into 2021. You, the main reason we wanted you on. So you get into this outdoor season, And you know, your first couple of meets, you already like hit the 8th best throw in school history at like 52.17. Were things starting to click from what you were, you know, working with your previous coach, or was it something that Coach Foote saw that y'all tweaked a little bit?
So coming in, that first year in 2019, 2020, when I first got to start training, because I was there during the summer. So I got a little summer workout before getting shut down by basketball. So we started tweaking stuff then.
Okay.
So he had started changing stuff, doing more of a blind entry into the disc and into the shot, other than looking to get to the middle. A big thing that was changed was trying to keep my head level and not throwing it, and running and driving to the middle more than what I would do at Southern, because I drove, but I didn't stay back. So a lot of the work that we did was keeping me back over my right foot and really utilizing my right foot and turning to get my throw out into the sector.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And a really big thing that he had switched up is he wanted me to throw right middle, whereas at Southern, it was more middle left.
Gotcha. So talk a little bit about the blind. You said blind entry. So I want to be stupid. You were not with your eyes closed, right?
No, not with my eyes closed. It was more so like in my position, I would keep my head more this way as I came around.
Gotcha.
And until I hit like 90, and actually my whole left was all the way 90 and turned into the middle. So as I was all the way into the middle and finally saw the sector is when I actually started driving to the actual sector.
Gotcha. So you're being a lot more patient in letting more of the pull of the right leg pull you into the entry.
Yep. Gotcha. Instead of letting my upper body and my left pull me in, it was more of my lower body.
Yes.
And was this in the shot and the discus? Both
yes.
of them? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shot put wasn't as hot when I went to UTRGV. I hit 15 only a couple times in the 15s.
But you were consistently during this year of hitting you were over 52 consistently.
Yeah. So once I actually hit 53, broke the school record, it was more like, okay, so I got the school record, but I still haven't PR'd. Yeah. So I was getting really frustrated with myself. And I think that was just, I had to blow off that rust. I had to use a couple of those meets to get the rust off. And once I did, it seemed that I really thrived. And a lot of that had to do with the weight training. And Coach Foote had kept reassuring me that the training that he does, you don't start thriving until the very end of the training. And that's what the numbers seem to have shown.
And so let's talk a little bit about that. So were you doing explosive clean and jerks, snatches from a hang position?
So I had taken a beating a little bit. I have quadricep tendonitis in my right knee. So that was a little bit of a struggle. So
blame that on basketball.
It was basketball, weightlifting. Gotcha. I think it was a little bit of both. So we normally would do safety squats, where you have the U-shaped bar on your back and you're holding onto the bar in front of you. Well, that really flared my knee up.
Okay.
So we had to switch that out, and I ended up taking safety squats all the way out of my lift.
Okay.
But we would do safety squats. We had deadlift. We had regular hang cleans. We had half rack hang cleans, or rack cleans, I should say. We had half rack squats, top band squats, box squats. So we did a lot of different things. We did some single leg squats in there at the beginning. So there's just a lot that we had done at the beginning. And then by the end, it was more, I would do top band box squats, regular box squats, chain box squats, and then top band regular squat, because my knee had flared up. And so we were trying to keep it from flaring up again.
Okay.
And when we would do half rack squats, that was really when I put the most weight on there and just really was explosive through the bar to get it up. And I think the most plates I had on for that was 7 plates each side.
Wow.
Nice.
So any pushing with like chest flies or anything pull up wise, working your upper back or your upper body?
At the beginning, we would do some pull-ups, like some chin-ups in a way.
Yeah.
We did a lot of discus flies. We had regular bench. We had three block bench.
Mm-hmm.
So like you had like the 3 boards and you'd hit it and explode off of that.
Yeah.
We had half rack bench. So
Mm-hmm.
basically you started in a position where you're just exploding off the rack.
Yeah.
So we had that. And then closer to the end, we started doing lat pull downs and doing back extensions. We had landmines in there at one point in time.
Oh, wow. So this was probably the most intensive workout you've had in your entire career.
I know when I was straight track with Coach Allen, that was when I first got to, after basketball season at Southern, I would go into track lifting.
Gotcha.
So I would be lifting the track program and the throws program at Southern.
Gotcha.
But it was a little different, even though when I did full-time track for my last year at Southern, we were heavy, intense and everything like that. But this was just a little bit different. I never did a half rack squat. I never did a safety squat. So there was just some stuff in there that I've never done. And so I think that also helped me thrive a little bit because it was using different muscles than I've ever used.
Yeah, of course. Curious, during this workout, and you don't have to just kind of ballpark, what was your weight like? What was your weight range?
So I actually had gotten up to 200.
Okay.
Then I had COVID. I dropped down a couple pounds, but I stayed up at 196.
Okay.
So I stayed up there about 200, 196, fluctuated, but I didn't ever drop under 196.
Gotcha. And that was normally your basketball playing weight as well?
So I had actually gotten up to 195 when I came down to UTRGV, which was a weight that took me forever to get to. When I was at Southern, my coach was trying to get me to get weight. And I think I stressed so much about trying to gain that weight. I never did. I got up to 185 was my heaviest at Southern.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My first year at basketball at Southern, I was 158, 160.
Oh, wow.
I was a small little one.
You're like little, tall and skinny.
Tall, lanky.
Yes.
Yeah, very lanky.
Definitely worked on putting on a little bit more upper body muscle while I was at Southern. I'd come in on Fridays with Jensen and we would do like curls and triceps and stuff like that to try to get my upper body a little bit more built. And I have a picture that I took with my friend, and from my sophomore year to my junior year, the definition of my arms is completely different.
Wow,
So just to show that my upper body is actually getting stronger, I was like, oh, wow. Didn't realize that my arms actually look that much different, because I feel like my arms always look small just because I'm more linky.
yeah.
And my muscle just doesn't show until I flex.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
there was that, but by the time I had finished basketball my last year at UTRGV, I was at 176.
Okay. Wow.
By the end of that season. So I'd actually lost from 195. I had shin splints, and they're like, I think it's because you're too heavy. So they wanted me to get down to like 183 ish.
Gotcha.
And I ended up at 176 by the end of the season.
Yeah. But through his program, you were starting to see the results in the track and field, in the marks and all the stuff that you were able to do and stuff. Were you, because I want to get to that big 58.90 mark that you hit at UTSA. Okay. So if you will, just let's talk about that week going prior to that meet. What was the training like? Were you seeing those big marks that you were popping in practice? Were you seeing those? And what was your mindset kind of going in?
I think that's why I was so frustrated at myself, because I would see such great marks at practice. I would see, because, during practice, I don't ever touch the 1K. Never do. I've always touched the 0.8, the 125, the 1.5, and all those discs, they would fly amazing. They would go out there and I'd be seeing all these great marks, and then I'd get to the meet and then pop a 52, 53. And so I would get like upset at myself because I wasn't hitting good marks. But then I think what had really just calmed me down when going into that UTSA meet, me and coach stepped aside and he's like, dude, I just want you to be as relaxed as possible. I don't want you to stress out about anything. And I didn't do as hot in the shot put that day, but I wasn't too concerned about it because I had done so well in the disc.
Gotcha. And just, I want to interrupt you real quick because you said something very, very interesting. So during the season, he was making you throw heavy disc Monday all the way to Thursday from different ranges, and you never touched the 1K until the meet day.
Not till meet day. I did never touch the 1K till meet day. The only time we had changed that was the 2-3-ish weeks leading into the trials.
Okay. Interesting. Have you ever thrown heavy disc before?
Yeah, I threw heavy disc at Southern.
But like during the off season, but
during season. During season at Southern, we did volume throws, and so I would throw the 1.5. We had a 1.25 disc, but I didn't ever touch an underweight disc.
Okay.
So I actually touched a regular implement disc at Southern, but I never touched an underweight disc. And one of the girls leading up to conference week, he had one of the girls throw the 0.75 disc at Southern, and she actually ended up throwing really well. And he then turned around. He's like, maybe I should have had you throw that 0.75.
Okay. All right, cool. You learned some of them. That's cool. All right. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So prior to that day, you were dropping big throws. You were throwing different weighted discus. You had poor results into the shot put. And he just wanted you to be like relaxed.
Yeah. So basically he was like, just relax. He actually gave me a piece of gum to try to relax me even more.
Gum. It was like, you're dead.
That's Coach Foot's thing. He's big on gum.
Okay.
But there was just music playing. It was throwbacks. I was vibing to it. I was just really just grooving out to it. I was honestly just in my zone because at practice, we just played music the whole time. And I bopped to that. And I had, up to that point, had been playing throwback music as it was. So I kind of took it more as like, okay, dude, like, why am I being so like tense when I'm throwing? And so that day he said, that is the most relaxed you had ever looked while throwing. So I had just taken a step back, took a deep breath, and went back to how I feel like I threw at Southern. I was never tense at Southern. I never had like throws anxiety. I mean, going into that meet, I was actually taking a positive psychology class. And so a lot of positive self-talk and really preparing myself for the meets. So I think that helped a little bit, giving myself positive self-talk and just jamming out and vibing to the music, and just went out and just hit a big throw.
So your approach is like in your pre-meet and stuff like that. Do you take one stand throw, then a couple of half turns and a couple of fulls? Kind of what's your preparation to getting ready for your meets?
So I do a full warm up.
Okay.
As in jogging, high knees, all that to get myself warm. But when we get into the warm up for throws, I do a front, a giant step, which leads into a half turn because a giant step into that. And then I would do a step out.
South African.
And then drive in.
Yeah.
For a South African, and then a full.
Okay, really? And that would be it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if I ever got another chance in, obviously a couple more fulls, but that was the 4 throws I did get in before.
Gotcha. Now, are you a person that approaches each throw, or you like let a big one and you're like, ah? Are you talking to yourself between each throw?
So I go and talk with Coach and see what he has to say, what to tweak, what not. That day he was like, just keep doing it. Just keep doing what you're doing, because you don't need to do a lot different. I mean, other than he's like, stay back a little bit, just let it happen. Don't force it. But I talk to myself. I tell myself, like, get out over your left, hold middle. Like I'm over there just constantly going through the cues that he gives me. But that day, I mean, there was a strong like crosswind, but if you didn't hit it right, nobody else was hitting. Like there's only one other person who had hit a PR that day, and that was my teammate.
Oh, wow. So what throw was the 158.90? Which throw?
That was my third throw in prelims.
So were your previous two really good as well?
I had a 56 something, a 57, and then hit that 58.
So you were definitely, and that was his one. You were on, so he was just like, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. You just PR'd. So you PR basically 3 throws in a row.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Or it was like a 57 and then a 56, and then I threw the 58. It was basically bam, bam, bam. I had 3 basically really good throws that I hadn't seen up until that point at a meet. And then I came into finals. I had like a 54, a 55, just trying to do better. And obviously didn't beat that. But
when you hit the 58.90, did you know immediately? Was there a feeling that you never felt before and you were like, oh my God, that's it?
I had hit it, and because it stayed in the air for so long, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just hit that one good. But like, I was kind of in shock. I was just sitting there watching it because I can't walk out of the ring yet. And so like you can see in the video, I turn around and I just kind of stand there watching it. And everybody thought it was even farther than that. They thought it was in the 60s because it just seemed like it flew for so long. And even the UTSA coach was like, you didn't mark that right. They didn't think they marked it right because he thought it was in the 60s.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So did you even think about the trials and what you qualified and all that stuff with that mark and any of that?
Up until that point, I didn't even know what the qualifying mark was to get into the trials.
Okay.
I mean, that was always a dream of mine to go to the Olympic trials and go to the Olympics, which I think I'm still going to plan on training for and trying to go to 2024 trials and the Olympics. Awesome. But up until that point, I hadn't actually really looked to see what it took to get in.
Okay.
And so when everybody's like, dude, you're in for regionals, you can take that weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And then on our way home, coach is like, you made the Olympic trials. I was like, what? I did what? He's like, you automatically qualified for the Olympic trials. I was like, oh, okay. Let's not focus about that yet. Let's focus on regionals and nationals.
So but you had to call your dad, right?
Oh, I called him. I tried to call him immediately because he had come and watched me at Rice, and I had only thrown like 53. Mm-hmm. And which coach said that was pretty impressive for throwing at Rice because it's so hard to throw at Rice because you never know what wind you're going to get because all the buildings. Yeah. And so the actual next meet, I threw 57, and coach was like, following that up, dude, was honestly the best thing to show it wasn't a fluke. Wow. And so he was really happy about it because he knows it's so hard to throw at Rice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I did call my dad. I couldn't get actually, I was trying to feel like if I got a hold of him or not. I tried to call my mom, couldn't get a hold of her. Called my dad, and he was like, see, it's that cardio I told you needed to start doing. It's like that cardio and abs. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
I was like, I don't think that's what it was, but I did start biking a little bit before going into that meet. So I had gotten a little more cardio in, but it was just biking because I didn't want to run and then aggravate my knee or get shin splints. So I would just bike because I had a bike.
Wow. So then afterwards you win the WAC and the discus, right?
Yes.
Like was that 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks later.
Yeah. So were you still in that relaxed mode then and kind of listening to throwback music?
Yeah, we listen to throwback music a lot at practice because I was like, it's just gonna keep me.
I know we may need this playlist.
All right, so we
it has a little bit of explicit content in there because throwbacks have explicit music and it's
okay. So are you talking like hip hop? Are you talking like Guns N' Roses?
So like 90s, 2000s.
92. Oh, okay. See, we're older than you, so when I say,
but I mean, I did have a couple. I did have a couple older ones in there.
Okay.
Like I have some Limp Bizkit in there.
Okay.
So there's a couple little different rock ones in there that people are like,
you wouldn't listen to like Ice Baby or anything like that.
That one's actually in there. That one's actually in there.
Some MC Hammer or anything like that.
So yeah, I have that. I have like Usher. I have I think I even had a New Kids on the Block in there.
Oh, okay.
My wife's a big redneck, so any country?
I actually didn't have any country in there, which sometimes I'm like, should have threw some country in there. But I was like, nobody wants to listen to country on our track team. So that's kind of why I didn't throw it in there. But I do have a country playlist.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Our kids don't always like listening to country either, but they usually get it.
Big question is since you're in Texas, have you went two-stepping yet?
No, I never did.
Never did.
Never went two-stepping.
Oh, well, next time you come back down, we'll get you.
Well, we have a bar here in town. It's called
Okay.
Guitars.
Okay.
And it's a country bar.
Okay.
And one person tried to teach me how to two-step one time.
And that was it.
I was like, I'm not a two-stepper.
No, it's like the blind entry into the discus. You just got to get around the left side. You know?
I mean, I did decent. It was just like, he would be like, okay, now spin. I was like, okay, we're spinning.
What are we doing?
Oh, anyway, we digress. I'm sorry to get you off track. So you win conference in WAC. So you went to the NCAA West prelims, right?
Yes.
How did that go?
That one was a little heartbreaking. I went in ranked 5th going into the prelims.
Mm-hmm.
I went in ranked 5th. I had really great practices up to that. We went through in a field because there just was so many people there. From the guys and girls side, there was 48 altogether, and we all had the same time to go throw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they only gave like 2 hours to do it, and they had the hammer going. So it was really difficult to get in the ring as it is.
Yeah.
Not saying the ring was the best ring to be throwing in. And I think that's kind of where I kind of threw myself off a little bit because I shifted the wrong way.
Okay.
So I think that also lined me up to throw it more out of bounds in the right sector because there was a divot right where I normally stand.
Yeah. You say you were shifting on the finish. You were shifting into the finish.
So in the back of the ring, I shifted right.
Which, in your stand when you're standing,
which set me up more to go down the right sector, and I kept fouling right sector.
Okay.
And so I should have shifted left to help pull it in.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the practice leading up to that, we went out and threw the field, and I was hitting positions. I was feeling good, and honestly, coach is like, I've never seen you actually reverse that great. Like, he actually was telling me that, like, dude, you look ready. And then I came out and fouled my first one. It was out there about 57, coach said.
Yeah.
So he was like, you just threw a really good one, but it was out of bounds. So, like, let's get our head into this and just get out left and hold middle and just really hold to strike it. Well, then I tried to force it because I was like, I got to get a mark because I only get 3 throws. Mm-hmm. And so I think what really just messed me up was me shifting to begin with. And then I fouled. And then I tried to force a throw. And then my next one was out there deep again, 56, 57, which would have got me in, fouled. Okay. So I did not make it into nationals, which is kind of sucky, but I took that kind of as God was telling me I didn't need to go to nationals. I needed to train for the trials. And I honestly think I could have made it into finals at the trials. Like, I made it to finals day. I had a decently good first day through 56, barely skimmed in, finished 12th of the first day, which is where I came in ranked. Yeah. Ended up finishing top 11th. But I had my second throw of the day for the trials on finals day. It hit the net and it went about 30 feet into the field. Mm-hmm. And during practice, when we were practicing at the trials, I'd hit the net, but it would fall straight down. Okay. So I was like, ooh, that one was a good one. So I was like, if I would have just held on to that one a little longer, I think that one would have been really deep. Wow. I think I would have PR'd and actually been out there and possibly making into the actual finals.
So what was that experience like? Because you're there with Valerie Ullman and Dinkoff and Whitney Ashley.
And you like fanning out, or you like, no,
so,
I got this. I can hang with you.
The only person I really fangirled about was Valerie Ullman.
Oh, yeah.
Were you?
So, like, I'm really, like, I follow her. I try to kind of imitate a lot of the stuff she does.
Yeah.
Because she is the one that I've really watched. I know the New Mexico State coach, he trains Rachel.
Doug Reynolds.
Yeah. So he trained Rachel. And so I really took a lot of advice from her. I didn't fangirl over here. So I could actually talk to her and ask her advice and wasn't scared to talk to her. So really got to bond with her and a couple of the other girls like Michaela, who actually got second, but obviously she didn't have the mark to go. So I got to talk with them a little bit. So they were kind of telling me, if you are going to compete post collegiately, like hit me up so I can actually tell you how hard it is to do it and how much money and time it takes. So
what was your impression of watching Michaela throw? Because she is like maybe 5'6", 5'5", and generating more power than you ever seen into the release of the discus. And that day she was crushing it.
Yeah, it was insane. Finals day was insane. You saw numbers that you wouldn't typically see, but you also saw people not do as well as they typically would. There was a couple people who fouled out, and you wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
So it was just, you never know what you're going to get, and you have to take everything as you can take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Did you reflect back from your high school days and your junior high days, and you're like, I'm in Eugene, Oregon, at the epitome of the highest USA track and field, and about to try to qualify for the Olympics?
So I had actually, I did. I had that because I've had so many like interviews about it. And so that had brought me back to my junior high days and all of that. So I think we did one big interview for the school, and he had broken it down and basically released an article for like 2 weeks straight, just going through everything. Yeah. So it was like an article a day for like a week and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
you were
really got to reminisce about a lot of it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so basketball, track, softball, got to talk a lot about everything.
So I'm assuming your parents came to Eugene and watched.
My mom did.
Your mom, dad.
My mom did. My dad didn't. My sister had a tournament for basketball, so he wasn't really able to come. But my mom had made it. She's one of my biggest supporters, always has been there. She's my mental rock. She's always been the kind of like sane voice of the family. My dad's more of the hard one and really pushing hard. My mom's over here just very supportive. Like, you got this. Just in one year, out the other. He loves you. He really does. He's just trying to put you to your best. And I kind of have to take that and like really install that into my sisters, because he's just as hard as them as he is on me. And I was like, he really does know what he's talking about. He's just trying to push you to be your best.
Gotcha.
So I was able to actually like really think about the life lessons that he had taught me and pushed me through to be able to get to where I'm at.
Gotcha. Did Coach Foote go with you to Eugene?
He did. He was there. He was able to coach me. He was able to be in the stands. I was able to go over to him and really talk about a lot of things. And he even said my second throw that I threw into the net looked really good. And he was like, just do that again. Just hold it a little longer, do that again. And then I tried to put just a little bit on it and threw it straight into the ground.
Oh, no.
Was that your first experience seeing the new Hayward and being in Eugene and all that?
It was. But I really loved the ring. I did. Everybody's like, it's so fast. I was like, is it though? I like fast rings though. So I guess it didn't affect me as much. I've my PR that I had from my junior year, either my junior or sophomore year at Southern, was on a brand new poured ring. Slick. Wow. Everybody was falling on their face basically. And no, it was my junior year. It was whatever year I could throw it. No, it would have been my sophomore year because everybody was falling on their face my freshman year. And my coach wasn't over there to watch. So we had somebody filming and sending it to him. And they were like, Desiree just hit a PR. And it was on the slick ring. And I feel like I hold positions a little better because I'm able to actually work my right foot instead of trying to like grind it into the ground to work it. And so I feel like a slicker ring just helps me do that. And it helps me just be a little faster and helps my foot grind instead of me actually having to force it to turn.
Gotcha. You said, I'm curious. I wanted to ask you something too about your training and stuff, especially with the different weighted objects of the discus. How much non-reverse throwing do you do?
So at UTRGV, we did a lot of non-reverse stuff. We have a lot of net training. So we have a net out there and it was just non-reverse. And then at the end of practice, he's like, okay, go reverse it. But when starting out in the first couple of months, you don't reverse at all. All you do is non-reverses.
Now, have you done that type of non-reverse work previously in your other stops?
At Southern, we would start out with non-reverses, like even like going into like our throws, like fulls, I would start out with non-reverses and then go into reverses. And sometimes he would switch it up and go non-reverse heavy, reverse the light.
Gotcha.
So there was a lot of non-reverse stuff there. I think my biggest difference was I got my half turn down at UTRGV. I struggled with half turns at Southern. Never have been good at half turns. I don't know why. I just really struggled to stay back in those and actually stay and turn on one. But once I got to UTRGV, we did a lot of half turn work and really focused on getting that half turn and middle down to be able to make the throw better altogether.
Gotcha. There's something you said through a couple of times I want to get some more detail on, is you said hold the middle a little bit. And that was a coach's cue that he would give you. Just what does that mean when you're saying hold the middle? So if a young girl or boy's listening and they're like, hold the middle, what does that mean?
So coming out of the back, you're basically staying middle. You don't want to let your left arm fly open.
Yeah.
So you want to like keep your body tight and like keeping your right arm behind your hip as you come in. And as you're turning, you want to basically stay pretty level and drive, but hold your upper body so you don't throw it open. Gotcha. So basically holding middle is staying pretty much to the field with your upper body and not flying open to get across the ring. You want to stay pretty closed.
Gotcha. Now, with that being said and holding the middle, what position is your right foot? So if you were looking at a clock at 12, 1, 3, 1, 2, and 3, are you almost turning that toe all the way back to 2, or is it kind of hitting at 1 to 2?
So with my left toe, I'm basically full in. If I'm starting with the back of the ring, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Is my left toe. It's holding to 6. And then
right toe.
My right foot's coming out. Okay. And until it hit about 9 o'clock. Okay. That wasn't until I drove in.
Okay.
So basically 90 out of the back.
Gotcha.
It wasn't until I drove in.
And where would it, at what position of your right toe when you hit the middle? What in the center?
In the center. So it basically started out at 3. Because you're holding it as you hit. And as you come around and bring that left foot through, obviously it's turning the whole time.
Gotcha.
To get all the way through. But yeah, when you hit, it's kind of like
at
3 forward because you're coming in and then you're turning all the way through and staying on your right toe to get all the way through.
Gotcha.
So you want to keep all your weight over your right foot and right hip to stay back and holding.
Gotcha. Okay. And that's what I wanted to clarify on that hold the middle and where your right foot hit and all that type of stuff. Outstanding. Outstanding. So after your experience of US trials, you know, what was the mindset coming out of there, and what's going on in your life currently after the trials?
So my mindset coming out of there, I was like really hot about it because I was like, dang, I really feel like I could have made that 8th place position if that one that didn't hit the net, like that one, I really feel like confidently that one would have gotten me in to the top 8 and to be able to compete for that final position. So there was a lot of fire there, and kind of that fire that I get from that is kind of where I got my last year at Southern. It's that same type of feeling. So I know what it feels like. Because the indoor season, I was supposed to get 3rd in the shot put. I ended up getting 10th, not making that bubble to get into the finals.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I use, that momentum and that drive and that fire that gave me to get 2nd place in outdoor.
Okay.
So that's kind of like that same fire, that same feeling that it gave me not making it into finals again, because I'm not used to not making finals. I'm not used to not getting in. So it's that same feeling to continue to train for 2024. But at the moment, I am working out of a nutrition club. So I know what's going in my body. I'm using the #1 nutrition brand in the world,
which is
Herbalife. So if you were to go on to Google, type in what's the #1 nutrition company in the world, Herbalife would be what pops up.
Okay.
And you can go check that on your own. And anybody else could go check that. So they actually have sports safe stuff.
Okay.
Their 24 line is NSF approved, 99%. If they have a bad batch, they'd rather throw it out and go out of stock before actually putting a good batch out.
Gotcha.
So they actually just came out with a lift off, which is all your B vitamins and like an energy tablet. Okay. That's part of the 24 line, which is the athletic line. They have proteins, they have teas, they have a lot of different things. They have hair products that help with aloe for the hair to help with dried out hair. They have face line. There's just a lot of stuff that actually goes into that other than just teas and shakes that you see at Herbalife stores pop up everywhere.
Gotcha.
But they have rebuild shakes for afterwards. So that helps cut out the lactic acid out of your body and helps the recovery time be cut in half. So definitely, I've had a lot of people come in and actually use it, and they're like, dude, this stuff actually works. I was like, well, no duh. I wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work.
Are you back in Missouri? Where are you at?
I am back in Missouri. I'm back at home.
Okay.
Still trying to find a place to train. As I said, I have the weight room part down. I have somewhere to lift, but still trying to find a place to train. I only have one discus, so makes it a little difficult to go throw.
Training you is
so I had because we had this thing where if he would have gotten the head coaching position at UTRGV, he was wanting me to come down and be his assistant.
Yeah,
so that would have it would have made it a lot easier for me to be able to train. So when he had called me and said he didn't end up getting it, I was kind of bummed out a little bit because I was really pumped to come back down, train, help coach, get the different side of it to help actually be able to see the coaching side of it and watching technique. Cause I had kind of started doing that during my last year there, which also I think helped me out because I was trying to watch other people's technique and help teach them cues and what clicked with them and seeing what they're doing to help me figure out what I was doing. So by seeing it and doing it myself, I think that's also what helped me thrive because I was helping coach others as well.
Gotcha. So are you looking for a coach now and a place to go?
So Coach Foot is supposed to be sending me over a workout plan for lifting as well as throwing. I need to get back with him on that because I think he might have forgot.
Okay.
So maybe after he listens to this, he'll be like, oh yeah, probably should send
him. Let's get him back onto that, buddy. Quick.
So I need to message him and be like, hey, I know things have been busy with school starting off and then starting back up and getting back into the lifting. So hopefully since he's starting to write workouts again, he'll just get mine in there and send it to me. But I've been kind of basically doing stuff on my own, just throwing a workout together that I feel like goes with what I'm trying to get done and get accomplished. Do a legs day. I'll do an upper body day. I'll do a shoulders day.
Okay. So
I have enough equipment to do that. The only thing that's a little difficult is the cleans because I don't have drop plates. So I have to actually set it back down when I'm done.
Tough. Yeah.
But
cool. So you did get your master's, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have a bachelor's in biology pre-med.
Oh, wow.
I have a master's in health science and nutrition and a minor in psychology.
Oh, wow. All right. So, nice. So just for clarification, you're back home working for Herbalife, selling Herbalife, right? And looking to train and do some stuff like that. Looking for sponsorships as well?
Yes, I actually am. I'm starting to reach out to people here. I mean, anything helps, trying to get just a little money here, a little money there.
Gotcha.
Anything helps just to get a good build up for hotel fees, meat fees, just saving up for that.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm working with somebody who's local, who is pretty popular here and tries to help other people out to try to get them started up on stuff like this because, I mean, he has his own stuff going on. He's professionally boxes and does MMA. So, so he kind of knows the connections and how to do things like that. But
so you said when you were at the trials, you talked to several of those ladies who have been throwing professionally. So have you reached out to them now that you've decided you're ready to give this whole thing a try for the next few years?
I feel like I feel like I needed to wait to reach out to Rachel a little bit just because she had her stuff going on. I didn't want to pull the focus away from the trials, and she's just now getting back and really getting stuff back together, her life back home and stuff like that. And still, I know a lot of people are blowing her stuff up because she went to the Olympics. So, you know, she has a lot of people trying to reach out to her. So I was going to let her get settled back down before really reaching out.
Did you watch the Olympics?
I did.
You did. You
The
watched
delay,
the qualifying and the trials.
yeah, the delay seemed a little. I was watching it and saw that there was a big delay in the finals round because of the rain, and I saw how a lot of people were falling. I was like, oh goodness.
Yeah. And they were out there with like a little dust broom trying to sweep.
I was like, at this point, just leave the water in the ring. It makes it not as slick.
The memes that went around about how they were cleaning the water out of the ring.
Yeah. Was there a little piece of you that thought you could have been there when you watched that in Tokyo?
Seeing the numbers, especially getting into that finals day, I was like, dang, like I was right there with everybody. So that was one of the things that really like opened my mind up and like really thought about really trying to go for the 2024 because my numbers were matching up to what was thrown there. And I feel like just 4 years of straight training and getting out there and just to see that I went from 54 to 58.90 in 1 year. Just imagine what I could do with 4 years of training.
Yeah.
And just specifically on the disc.
Yeah. Are you back at home? Are you living with your parents again?
I am back at home living with my parents again.
They ask all those questions again and you have to follow rules and things like that.
It's more because I'm 25 now. I'm like, hey, I'm leaving. I'll let you know if I'm coming back or not type of deal.
Well, that's fun that you're still get to hang out and be at their home and, you know, somebody could cook for you a little bit then. So yesterday,
me and my sister, because I was actually in Joplin in the morning and I had drove past Walmart and got my mom a birthday present because yesterday was her birthday.
Okay.
So I had gotten her birthday present and stopped at Sonic and it was their morning drink stop. So large drinks are 99 cents. So I was really grateful for that. So I got 4 drinks. So I was like, I was about to spend like $12 on 4 drinks and ended up only spending like 5.
That's awesome. Cool.
But my sister, she was up and she's like, how many eggs do I do? She was trying to cook for mom to make her breakfast. And so when I got home, she had the eggs mixed up. She's like, you're doing the bacon. I was like, why couldn't you do the bacon? So I did the bacon and then she did the eggs. She actually did a pretty decent job.
Cool.
I had to coach her on how to do it. She called me. She's like, how do I do this? Like, you're 16 years old and don't know how to make scrambled eggs. This is a problem.
You better figure this out. He's 48 and doesn't know how to make his own food either. So, you know.
That's why they have drive-through.
Maybe I need to get you on some Herbalife. Meal replacement shakes.
There you go.
For sure.
Or just extra protein shakes in general.
Yes, for sure. So is plan long-term is coach, because you have a great personality and I think you're very understanding. Is coaching something you might want to do down the road after your throwing career?
So there's just a lot of different things I want to do. I don't know. I know I have gotten some offers here to be a junior high track coach during this next season. I don't know if I'm going to take that up or not because I just got offered. I just had a recruiter from Cox Health call me and ask me if I would want to come and do an administrative assistant in the NICU because I want to go get my nursing degree eventually. And I was planning on going to Cox to do that.
Oh, wow. That's a good opportunity then.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if I can do the coaching and go work a full time there while still continue to try to find a place to train and lift while I'm working a full job.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you inquired about maybe you going to Chula Vista and maybe have the opportunity to train there at the National Training Center and stuff like that?
I haven't ever thought about that one just because I don't have a lot of money. Gotcha. So I would like to just build up a pretty good base before moving anywhere or even trying to go throw or train anywhere else other than here, just because if I'm at home, I can save money.
Right.
Gotcha.
That's good. That's true.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on. What a great story you are. It's really cool. It is. And it just goes to show you never know how life is going to put you in the right place at the right time with the right coach, or in being in San Antonio to throw a lifetime PR, you know.
And get to go to the Olympic trials.
Right.
Yeah, and compete well at the Olympic trials. So, wow, that's
Yeah, it's
awesome.
been a really big thing. And then just like coming home and seeing all the support. A lot of people don't even know I'm back in Joplin. So like when I pop up at a place and they're like, I didn't even know you were back. I was like, I post all the time online where I'm at. I'm like, I post about the nutrition fix and I even like tag it Joplin. Like obviously they'll pay attention to that. And they're like, I thought you were still in Texas. I was like, no, I'm back.
Social media.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know I'm back. So they're really shocked about that. But when they actually do like see me and they're like, I was cheering for you, and just all the support that I really saw and everybody was telling me about, like my dad would tell me, so many people would be asking about me and saying they're going to be cheering me on and watching. So just all that, just, it's so great. And it's so heartwarming to see that the community I came from is just so supportive. And I think will continue to support me going for the 2024. Definitely. I tried to send them a story because I had actually got Decade Athlete of the Year for high school.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
So just a couple different awards. And then I think I just got a Woman of Distinction award for the Joplin magazine that's in my hometown.
Nice. Look at you.
That's awesome.
Well, we hope to see you because, you know, with your height and your build and your size, I can definitely see you throwing easily over 60 meters, easily.
Yeah.
You know, and it just takes the right day to hit it right to throw far. And that's what really kind of, because I kind of have a relationship with Zeb and watching him, Valerie from a distance and stuff, is he's just been able to build consistency in her, you know. And if you go back and look at video, and this is on YouTube, of how she threw when she was at Stanford, you need to do this and go how she threw at Stanford and see what her bodies look like then to what she looks like now and how he's transformed her technique wise. It's like night and day.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about that is you've got to find a coach who's open-minded and kind of thinks outside the box, that it's just, you do this real well, so we're going to work around that and change this so you can throw further. It's not, you change this and do it my way, and you're going to do this, and this, and do this, and then we hope you throw far. He's molded her and changed this and changed her body and changed her training to where she was peaking for those moments to throw far.
Yeah. And honestly, at the first meet that we had, which I only threw 52, I had a non-reverse, and he's like, ooh, I like that. Like, cause he was messing with the net to pull it back because it was blowing in a little bit. And he's like, ooh, like, I think he actually went up and told Coach Foote, maybe I'm wrong, but he's like, she has potential to go like really far because he liked my non-reverse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That right
He liked
there.
how I was holding it.
Wow, there's some good motivation right there.
Yeah.
And go do it. And, you know, and now you're only focusing on throwing and you don't have basketball and the wear and tear of basketball to bring, you know, to tear you down so you could get ready for track. I'm sure you can be able to throw farther because it's hard to be a multi-sport athlete at the highest level.
Yeah.
You know, it's different when you're D2 doing all these sports, but when you're D1 and trying to be a professional, you know, it's a different world. I'm curious real quick. Did you see did you get to see Kovacs or Ryan Krauser or any of the sprinting or any of that stuff?
So the Krauser situation, me and Coach Foote are a little upset about because we didn't think about it because they threw right after us. They threw shot put right after we left.
Yeah. And
so like we could have stayed and watched it, but then we're like, we weren't thinking about it. And so when we left to go eat, and then he hit that big mark and everyone was like tweeting out, he's like, dang it. Like we should have stayed.
That's a rookie mistake.
You left the stadium and you were in Eugene.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I was like, I'm just super hungry, and I was just over the moon that I had made it in the finals.
Yeah.
And we weren't thinking about the shot put going on.
Yeah.
We weren't even thinking about it.
Did you watch the Hammer and Deanne Price or any of the shot put and Maggie?
I watched it. I watched that while I was back home because the girls' hammer went on
afterwards.
after I had gotten home.
Okay.
So I did watch that online, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I know.
That went so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
A good friend of ours, we sponsor, the podcast actually sponsors, Whitney Simmons, and she throws for Throw One Deep in Georgia. And she actually out of nowhere, similar story as you, and she is the D3 record holder in the hammer. And she never touched the hammer until her freshman year of college. And videos of it's like horrific. Like she's like can barely do a one turn and tripping and all that type of stuff. And then 5-6 years later, she makes the finals in the Olympic trials and PRs.
Yeah.
And just has an unbelievable story and experience that she's been able to accomplish. And y'all are kind of the same bubbly personality. I can see y'all fitting in and really getting along.
So actually at Southern, we have this like contest that's preseason. We have it. It's called the Beefer. We throw the shot put, the discus, the hammer, and the javelin. Everybody throws it. You don't get to sit out on any of them. So that was actually the only time I threw the hammer.
Oh,
and I ended up I did one turn and threw it and threw decent. And I was like, you know what? Last one, let me just go all out. 2 turn 32 meters.
Oh, wow.
It's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Just kind of like from what I've watched for the past 4 years, I've watched everybody else do it. So just kind of picked up on it a little bit and I was like, okay, let me just turn and throw it.
Yeah,
Good for you.
Turn, let it go.
Yeah, basically. And they're like, dude, if you knew how to push the ball, you know how good you would be? Because you're just over here just slinging it.
Yeah.
I know, with your length, for sure. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We'd like to thank Desiree for being on episode 53 of Talking Throws Podcast Texas Style. What a sweet person. You just root for somebody like Desiree. Just love her story of being a multi-sports athlete, having a great, strong family impact, being coached by Coach Dad through the years, and just excelling at the highest level. And just the athletic ability that you can just tell that she has to be able to do what she does on the basketball court, but also in the ring as well.
Yeah, I think she's somebody we need to keep an eye on.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to be in the trials and maybe make that Olympic team. I don't think she's yet reached her potential. She said that she has just continued how she ended that season at Missouri and then kept building on it and used that fire. I think she still has that from competing at the trials and not getting exactly what she wanted, but yeah.
I think so. I think that you're dead on with that. I think you could see her being a 65-meter thrower for sure, just focusing on throwing. Yeah. So she's a little late to the ball game on getting sponsorships and coaching and all that type of stuff, but hopefully somebody will listen to this and may be able to help her out down the road and put her on the right path to doing the right things and stuff. So Desiree, we appreciate it. Yeah. Keep that leg long, keep holding the middle, and we're hoping that you get that 65 meters pretty soon, and we look forward to seeing you in basically 3 years or 2.5 years.
Yeah, it'll be
for
quick.
Sure. It will be quick. So thank you so much. We'll see you down the road.
All right, guys, we want to thank our sponsors again for season 4, Texas Track and Field Coaches Association, ttfca.org. Go check them out. They always have lots of great information on their page, so make sure you look at that. 4throws.com for all the quality implements. Use the code TalkingThrows20 to get 20% off. Porta Circle, as we're getting here into the fall and the weather. Oh, yeah, nice cup. Into the fall and winter is coming. Go to porta-circle.com and get you a Porta Circle. Use the code TalkingThrows10 to get 10% off. And then Ready Up Athletic Development. You got to follow them on Instagram. Zach does a great job of posting what he's got kids doing in their facility there in Austin. And if you're just looking anywhere in the Austin area and looking to just be a better athlete, you need to reach out to him at readyupad.com or just follow them on Instagram and just get some motivation from what he's teaching those kids to do. And then Fiber Sports.
Hello, Talking Throws Texas podcasters. I'm Bruce Caldwell. I'm here today to introduce the Fiber Sport Discus. Yes, many of you thought I only made great vaulting poles. I have been bringing quality discuses to the throwers' hands for over 40 years. First as Cantabrian USA representative, then for the past 10 years as the Nelco discus distributor. I introduced the yellow plated discus for the plastic's best durability. If your fiber sport discus breaks, we replace it. Our studies have reached into the science of using a wind tunnel and adding microchips to the discus to find the spin, the gravity, the flight stability of the discus. We have found it's not about rim weight anymore. It's more about creating a balanced stability to allow the discus to fly and surf the wind. Our new FiberSport discus is made to be selected to fit your needs, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. Check out our discus selection guide at fibersportdiscus.com and find a dealer in your area that sells our fine product. Thank you, Jason and Janelle, for allowing me to talk with your listeners on Talk and Throws Texas Style.
And then always go check out our Throwing Factory site. We are, middle of September here, getting ready to kids start throwing. Reach out to Coach Schmidt, reach out to Coach Charvis. We're doing lessons, all sorts of things to get kids back out there and throwing. And then go check out our YouTube channel and download us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Google us on the YouTube channel. We'd love some more feedback on it. We changed our background up. We got some new things going on. So please give us some feedback on what you guys are seeing and liking from our from Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Sorry, Jason and I are moving things around here like a puzzle.
She is.
And then go check out our Lifting DFW website. It is, I have to read this because I got to get this part down. I'll cut this out. It's a mobile fitness station, can help your performance. Whether you want to be a 5-star athlete, you're a stay-at-home mom who's ready to get back in shape and just feel better about who they are, middle-aged father or youth who love sport and are looking to just improve yourself overall with your physical fitness, reach out over here to Coach Jason, and we've got some great stuff coming from our Lifting DFW. What did I forget?
That was it. Good job.
That was it. All right.
We'll see y'all down the road. Thank you.
Guys.